I need to come up with a good commercial that I could say at the beginning of the podcast when I need to wait for the sound in the chat room. Because we like to start right at 9 o'clock here, and sometimes it takes a couple minutes for the sound to come through. And that's why we start a little bit early now. And I'll let you know when we hear sound. But thanks, everybody, for showing up. It seems like it's going to be a rainy day here on Long Island. And I have to say, it's kind of nice because it's been really hot and sunny, which we love. But it's nice to have a little rain because really, that's what makes everything green. Now, we're going to get started on Saturday Fantasy Baseball in just a second. Like I said, I wish I had a good commercial to talk about. What's your good commercials that you have, Lenny?
Lumpo soap.
Lumpo soap.
Remember, it doesn't lather.
Remember, it doesn't lather.
It doesn't foam.
It doesn't foam.
It just keeps you company in the tub.
Does it clean?
No, I just said it.
It doesn't lather, it doesn't foam, it just keeps you company in the tub.
Or buy Nothing perfume.
Okay,
Nothing perfume.
Nothing perfume.
Next time you go out with your girl, tell her to wear nothing.
Next time you go out with your girl, tell her to wear nothing.
That's it.
That's all the commercials we got?
Those are my two favorite commercials.
Okay.
Chris Gallo has no. We have sound. I hear whispering. Okay.
No, we don't have sound. We don't have any sound. We have to wait.
We have to wait for
We have to
sound,
keep
okay?
waiting, so...
You have sound. So
No.
Just hitting refresh. Okay.
There's no sound yet.
Well,
He's listening to yesterday's show.
Okay.
Tell him in the chat.
Yes. Okay. Thumbs up.
I don't see any... Okay, now we have sound.
All
So
right,
tell
thank
everybody you can refresh. And here we go. So... let's go ahead and get started. Great to see you all on a Saturday morning. Thanks for joining me. Chris Gallo, NFL Chief, Rotorius, Boston Paul, King Turd, Lenny, Tom Johnson is here. Nice to see you, Tom Johnson. Chris from Staten Island is here. Data Premier, Daniel Ferrara. Hey.
Happy birthday!
Daniel, I hope you enjoyed your 50th birthday. Let me know how it feels. I have to do that in 2 years, so... I hope it's just, gosh, time flies so quick when you get older, right? So anyways, we really appreciate you coming in on a Saturday morning. It's so nice to see you. Staten Island, Chris, I want to know how you're doing in the AL only that we drafted together. Yes, AL only league update, please. All right, so while we do that, we will go ahead and get started. So Oakland's moving to Vegas. We all know that. I tell Lenny every day, I'm sick and tired of dogging on the Oakland Athletics. I understand why fans, or just in general, baseball fans are disappointed because really what it comes down to is the amount of money that they're spending on their team. So this move to Vegas, what's it going to mean? Is it the same ownership? Are they going to spend the same measly amount of money? I mean, I really think that this is a good move for Oakland. I really hope they keep their name. It's a wonderful name. It doesn't offend anybody. Well, it probably offends somebody in this day and age, but you know what? I'm sick and tired of the offended people all the time. Just grow up. Oakland is a wonderful, historic team no matter what. And they've had good seasons and they've had a lot of mediocre seasons. But really, I think the lack of fans going to the game right now is just testament to where the ballpark is located. Oakland is, look, never mind. I'm not even going to go there, but... Oakland to Vegas. Is it for the Oakland fans or is it for the tourists? Because this new ballpark that they're creating has a great view of the Strip. It's going to be I think Vegas is a great town for sports. Any sports team going to Vegas. What better place to have a sports team than Vegas? So it's a good news for the Oakland. And I wonder if it's more for the fans or the tourists. But either way, whatever it is, they're talking about making the residents pay for their new stadium, and I would say they have to make sure that they spend some money. If you can't afford to spend look, $100 million should be the minimum that a team can spend. It's not that difficult. If you don't have $100 million to spend on players, then you shouldn't be owning a baseball team, and that's a fact. Bartolo Colon, remember him? He's 50 years old now, and he's officially retiring. I mean, who would have thunk? I thought that happened years ago. Like, I haven't seen him pitch or play for any team. But the Mets will hold an official retirement ceremony for Bartolo Colon. I don't know how many teams he played for, but every time Lenny asks a trivia question about who pitched for the most teams, I always guess Bartolo Colon because he has to be up there, right up there. He's pitched for like half the teams in baseball. But the Mets are the ones throwing the retirement ceremony on August 25th before a game where they will face the Angels at Citi Field. Now, Justin Verlander threw 117 pitches last night, the most in a game by a pitcher age 40 or older since R.A. Dickey threw 121 pitches in 2017. And it's the most by a 40-year-old non-knuckleballer since guess who? Bartolo Colon. He threw 121 pitches in 2014. So Verlander throwing a lot of pitches, looking like he's right back in there. I never doubted Verlander once. I drafted him on a lot of teams. I sure hope he gets his act together and starts getting me out of the cellar, the dungeon in my leagues. It's June 2nd, and the Phillies are now tied for last place in the NL East. Now, on the opposite spectrum of that, you have the Tigers. The Tigers, going into this season, they're in first place right now, by the way. But their plan was to develop youngsters and develop their team. They're in a rebuild situation, and they have been for several years now. What should the Tigers do now that they're in first place? Do they dare trade a couple of these youngsters who won't make a difference in 2023 for a couple of veterans that can actually help them win right now? I mean, the goal, sure, you go into the season in rebuild mode. But if you're in first place, I would say, why don't you do everything possible to maintain that first place and win now? I mean, nobody plays to win later. Yes, of course, there's teams that know they can't win now, so they start to rebuild, and the Tigers have done a great job of that. But they do have a lot of youngsters that aren't going to make a difference this season. What do you guys think in the chat room about the Dodgers or the Tigers trading a couple of these non-competitive youngsters for a couple of guys that can really pull this team together? I mean, they have Miggy in the clubhouse. He's a great leader, but he's definitely not the player he used to be, and he's not going to be helping them win anything. So what do you think about the Tigers trading a couple of youngsters for a couple of veterans to help them win a pennant? Now, Javi Baez is with the Tigers. He's back in Chicago this weekend with an OPS plus of 62. That's horrible for those scoring at home. But he says he's still making adjustments. He's still working hard. He's trying not to swing at sliders down and away. And he says he's really working hard to try and help his team win. The King Turd says those big prospect arms for the Tigers was a total disaster. Are any of those guys reasonably decent? Well, we got Scooble coming back.
Manning.
And Matt Manning has been all right. Okay, let's see. Chris from Staten Island says, no way, don't trade these youngsters. Just go ahead and stand pat.
Also, Mize.
Okay, Chris from Staten Island. Lenny and I went to this draft live. Chris was filling in. He had to take over someone's team at the last minute because one of their relatives was very sick in the hospital. He says he's in third place, 3.5 points out of first place. Recent promotion of Royce Lewis has been a nice shot in the arm. Pitching is coming around. If John Means comes back and Ricky Tiedemann can make the majors, we're going to win it all. I'm rooting for you, dude. That's great. It's a very tough league, and it's a very expensive league. These guys have been doing this league for years, and I wish you all the best, dude. Yeah, we have an update on John Means today, so we'll talk about that. Daniel Ferrara can't wait until Casey Mize comes back. Rotorius AE says the Tigers winning will not last. And that's that. Thanks for all the chat in the chat room, and let's continue going. Another team that's surprising, well, I don't know how surprising. The Arizona Diamondbacks have not been good in years. They did get a brand new pitching coach, and this pitching coach meant business when he came to Arizona. I think one of the reasons Arizona is doing so well is because of their new pitching coach. I don't know his name. I probably should. But just take it for what it is. Their pitching coach is making a big difference in Arizona. They have the best record in the National League after last night's. They won their 6th game in a row, 3-2 over Atlanta. And they're sitting atop the NL West with a 35-23 record. The last time they were in first place this late in the season was in 2018. The last time the Diamondbacks had a longer winning streak was back in 2017 when they went 93-69. It was also the last time that they reached the postseason. So we're rooting for the Diamondbacks. You got to always root for the underdog. Now, a guy who's not an underdog, Clayton Kershaw, 204th career win last night. First win in 3 weeks, and it was his first ever win against the Yankees. There's a discrepancy in this because in the game recap, it said that Clayton Kershaw has beaten every team in baseball except for the Orioles. But in the tidbits by one of the beat writers, it said that Clayton Kershaw has now beaten 27 different teams. Of course, you don't count the Dodgers, but they're counting that he hasn't beaten the Red Sox and the Orioles, so there's a discrepancy on whether or not he's actually beaten the Red Sox. He struck out Aaron Judge on his 40,000th regular season pitch of his career. He's the 5th active pitcher with 40,000 pitches. You guys in the chat room go ahead and start naming off the other active pitchers with 40,000 pitches under their belt. There's 4 other active pitchers right now who have thrown 40,000 pitches in their career. I'll check in a moment. With his win over the Yankees, Clayton Kershaw has now beaten 27 different teams, all but the Dodgers, Orioles, and Red Sox, none of whom he has faced in the regular season. So give Kershaw the look. He hasn't. If he would have faced these teams, he probably would have beat these teams. So not only has he beaten every team in Major League Baseball in the regular season except for the Orioles and possibly the Red Sox, the only reason maybe he hasn't beaten those teams is because he hasn't actually faced those teams ever in a regular season. George Springer hit his 54th career leadoff home run yesterday, tying Alfonso Soriano for second most all time. Name the Pirate pitcher to strike out 8 or more batters in 7 consecutive games. We'll come back to that too. Bartolo Colon. No, I said, I guess you could consider Bartolo Colon an active pitcher because he just finally retired. But no, it's actually an active pitcher. We got Greinke. That's the one right answer. We got Scherzer and Verlander. So Scherzer and Verlander and Greinke are all right. We're only missing one. And yes, Daniel says Wainwright. So it's Greinke, Verlander, Scherzer, and Wainwright. That was pretty easy. The A's threw 40,000 pitches last week, Kitty Flamia says. That's pretty funny. Okay, so now you got to name the Pirates pitcher to strike out 8 or more batters in 7 consecutive games. The players of the month in the AL is Aaron Judge. The NL is Freddie Freeman. The pitchers of the month are Eovaldi and Michael Wacha. The rookies of the month are Josh Jung and Spencer Steer. And the relievers of the month are Alex Lang and Camilo Doval. Yesterday, Mookie Betts, in one game, he had 4 hits, multiple home runs, a leadoff home run, a multi-hit inning, and stole a base. He's the only MLB player in the modern era to do all of that in the same game. In each of the last 2 games, Mookie Betts has hit a leadoff homer and then later added another homer. It's the second time in his career he has done that in back-to-back games. He also did it in 2016, and he's the only player in MLB history to do that twice. Also, this is the second time in his career that Mookie Betts had back-to-back multi-homer games out of the leadoff spot. The only other player with multiple such streaks is Kyle Schwarber, also with 2. Mitch Keller is right. Bo Bichette led the AL in hits in 2021. Bo Bichette also led the AL in hits in 2022. Bo Bichette is leading MLB in hits in 2023. He's doing exactly what he did last year. Same kind of thing with Aaron Judge. You know, we talk about Aaron Judge. Can he repeat what he did last year? Well, we're going to talk about what he's done so far and what he did last year at this point up to this point in the season. But before we do that, we could talk about Reese Olson, which is the Tigers' prospect promoted yesterday to make his ML debut against the White Sox. A former 13th round pick by the Brewers, Reese Olson was traded to the Tigers in 2021. Since then, he has pitched primarily at Double-A, posting a 4.24 ERA in 144 and a third innings. He opened this season at Triple-A, but he struggled there with a 6.38 ERA in 36 and two-thirds innings of work. Now, this ERA, 6.38, is inflated by a 15.83 ERA in his first 4 appearances this season, but he still has a horrible 12.6% walk rate that has stayed consistent even as his results have improved. He took the loss yesterday against the White Sox, allowing 2 runs on 2 hits and a walk. He struck out 6 over 5+ innings, but remember, he's got a horrible walk rate. Yesterday, he only walked 1, so I would say that's pretty good. And another positive for his MLB debut yesterday is that there were no runs until the 6th innings. He traded zeros with Mike Clevenger for 5 innings, but the White Sox were able to make some noise against him in the 6th. And it was an encouraging big league debut. They probably shouldn't have left him in during the 6th inning. And if they would have pulled him out before the 6th inning started, Reese Olson would have looked a lot better than he actually did.
Say hello to Laura.
Hello, Laura. Nice to see you.
Say hello to Marilyn Mitchell. Say hello to Jeremy Gibbs.
Jeremy Gibbs. Laura and who?
Marilyn Mitchell.
Hello, Marilyn Mitchell. Great.
Ranters is here. Jeter is here. Jeter Luna. Everybody's here.
Excellent. Thanks for coming, everybody. So Dave Roberts made a comment about Syndergaard and whether or not he's going to make his next start. He says, I don't know. The hope is that he does. Right now, I just don't want to answer that question. What the hell does that mean? He says, of course he hopes. Look, if a manager says, I hope he does, I don't really know, and he just doesn't want to answer the question, that's not good news, okay? There is a chance that they skip Syndergaard's next start because they have 2 days off in the next 5 days. So I would keep Syndergaard out of my lineup this next week. Just looking at, you don't have to be an expert to understand the schedule. They have 2 days off in the next 5 days. I highly doubt Syndergaard is going to be in there when the iffy answer from Dave Roberts is not convincing at all. If he was ready, he would have said he was ready. And, just when you think Aaron Judge, here we go with Aaron Judge, duplicating his 2022 MVP season. So last year at this time, through 47 games, Aaron Judge had 18 home runs, 38 RBIs, 39 runs scored, and 21 walks. Now, through 47 games, he has 18 home runs, 39 RBIs, 41 runs, and 34 walks. The average on base percentage and slugging are actually almost all better than they were last year. And if you look at these numbers and compare them, you would have to think, man, he's on track to have an even better season than he did last year. However, this guy pumped out a ton of home runs late in the season, so we'll see if he's able to do that. There's no reason why he can't do that if he's healthy. I still think Alonso's going to hit more home runs. Mets prospect Ronnie Mauricio is acclimating to left field right now at AAA Syracuse. There are plans to use him in a game there eventually down at AAA. He's actually a natural shortstop, but he also has already been playing second base. So expect this guy to be able to play multiple positions. I think the Mets are trying to call him up. That's just my opinion. Franchises with the most seasons not winning the World Series since the World Series started in 1903. Cleveland, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and both Chicago teams, but the Pirates have never won the World Series. 113 times. Did they win the World Series? Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I misinterpreted that.
They failed to win 113 times.
Yeah, right. Did they ever win?
Pittsburgh. I don't know.
I don't think they did.
All right.
All right, what? Move on?
I don't know the answer. Ralph Terry gave up a home run to the Pirates, and I think the Pirates did beat the Yankees. I'm not sure.
Do we have any more Pirates fans in the chat room?
No,
I think I chased them all away with my dangerous opinions. Less than 1 year after Juan Soto blockbuster trade, one game separates the Padres and the Nationals in the NL wildcard standings. The Padres are 26-31. The Nationals are 25-32. It's horrible. It's horrible. Lindor was lightly booed by the Citi Field crowd following his second strikeout of the night. He's 2 for 25 right now. The Mets have scored 2, 4, 4, and 0 runs in their 4 games in this homestands. That's horrible. All right, here we go. We're getting into the games. We're going to talk about all the games now, and let's just go through the motions. One of the games was rained out, so we got that going. That means I finished my work early today. Milwaukee beat the Reds 5-4. Brewers improved to 3-0 in extra innings, and Cincinnati dropped to 2-3 in extra innings. Corbin Burnes, he allowed 3 runs and 2 hits, 7 strikeouts while tying his season high with 4 walks and 6 innings pitched. Now, in the 6th inning, the score was tied 3-3. Burnes made a great defensive catch, and so then he acted like a football player and spiked the ball, and then he got kicked out of the game for doing that. It was a big ordeal with the umpire, and they basically kicked him out of the game for spiking the ball. Good grief, let these guys have some fun. Before a crowd of 44,073, a regular season record at Great American Ballpark, Reds rookie Brandon Williamson remained without a decision in his first 4 big league starts. He allowed 3 runs, only 2 of those were earned, 5 hits and 2 walks in 6 2/3 innings. That was a career high innings. He tied his career high 6 strikeouts. Interesting because both of these starters went at least 6 innings, but each team brought in 6 pitchers. So there was 12 pitchers in this game, and the starting pitchers both went 6 innings. That's a lot. So they were going crazy. Elvis Peguero struck out 1 in a hitless 10th for his first major league win. Bryce Wilson, 3rd save in 4 chances. Joey Wiemer, 2-run homer. It went 432 feet. Jake Fraley walked, stole second base, and scored. Jonathan India hit a 2-out opposite field homer, 370 feet. Matt McClain went 0 for 5 with a throwing error. Newman made his first big league appearance at first base. This guy has started 7 games at every other infield spot this season, his 6th in the majors. So this guy is playing everywhere, and it's great for position eligibility and fantasy. Now for injuries, we got Darren Ruff for the Brewers. He left with a cut on his right knee. He needed 6 stitches for that. Tyrone Taylor was scratched, and manager Craig Counsell said he might have to see a doctor. Willie Adames is working out this weekend with the Class A Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. Do they do this on purpose? They try to make tongue twisters out of these names. Wisconsin Timber Rattlers. Reds infielder Joey Votto is scheduled to start a rehab assignment with AAA today. Tonight you get to see Colin Ray against Graham Ashcraft. The Miami Marlins beat the Oakland Athletics 4-0. The Major League Worst Athletics lost their 12th straight on the road to drop to 12-47 overall. Edward Cabrera struck out 10 in 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk. He had his second double-digit strikeout of the season. All right, they've demoted Shintaro Fujinami now. They basically demoted him to an opener. He only pitched 1 inning. He struck out 1, and he managed to give up 2 earned runs. Then Hogan Harris came in. We talked about him last week. He pitched the next 5 innings. Hogan Harris, 5 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, and 5 hits. you know, when you come in as an opener and you pitch 1 inning, you don't qualify for it's impossible to get a win, but you do qualify for a loss, which makes no sense to me. Why can you get the loss, but you can't qualify for a win unless you pitch 5 innings? It's a bunch of bull dinky and poppycock. So now Fujinami is 2-6 on the season. Jesus Sanchez homered and singled twice. That was his 4th homer of the season. Sanchez is 5 for 6 since returning from the injured list on May 30th. Before going on the IL, he had 5 hits in his last 12 at-bats. Brian De La Cruz had 2 hits. Jorge Soler hit an RBI double and scored. Former Marlins number 1 draft choice J.J. Bleday doubled in 3 at-bats. The Marlins recalled George Soriano from AAA Jacksonville. Matt Barnes was placed on the 15-day injured list with the left hip impingement. Garrett Cooper missed his 3rd straight game after experiencing similar symptoms of the inner ear infection that landed him on the injured list last month. Up next tonight, you get to see Luis Medina against Yuri Perez. You got to take Perez on this one, right? Last time I told you to take any pitcher against Oakland, it happened to be Mike Soroka that day. They lost. But chances are good still that if you put in a pitcher against Oakland, you're probably going to win. Especially Yuri Perez. He's pretty good. Washington Nationals beat the Phillies. The Phillies' 5th straight loss. The Nationals beat them 8-7 after the Phillies blew a 6-run lead. The Phillies have just 5 wins in their last 18 games and are tied with the Nationals at the bottom of the NL East. The Nationals have won 7 of their last 12. Zach Wheeler got skunked yesterday. Coming off of 8 shutout innings against Atlanta, he allowed 7 runs on 8 hits in just 3 2/3 innings, okay? Wheeler, 90 pitches to get through 3 2/3 innings. What a horrible day for Wheeler. Josiah Gray, 4 runs on 6 hits in 5 1/3 innings. Kyle Finnegan pitched 1 2/3 innings for the win. And Nick Castellanos, great game for him though. Homered twice, singled and doubled, drove in 5 runs. Philly has scored just 3 runs in his past 3 games. Schwarber doubled, Luis Garcia homered, Heimer Candelario doubled twice and drove in 3 runs. Candelario is 9 for 26 with 4 doubles, a home run, 9 RBIs, 5 walks in 7 games, and 7 runs scored in his last 7 games. Candelario on fire. Alex Call stole second. Taijuan Walker played catch yesterday, and there are no worries about his next start. Good news for Taijuan Walker. People. Victor Robles took batting practice on the field for the first time since going on the injured list. Sean Doolittle gave up a run on 2 hits and struck out 2 batters in 2/3 of an inning, working his 2nd straight night for Class A Fredericksburg. Tonight you get to see Matt Stram. He's going to start a bullpen game against Mackenzie Gore, who went 7 innings and struck out a career-high 11 batters in his previous outing against the Royals. Hey, Big Al, nice to see you. Very nice for you to stop by today, my friend. Pirates beat St. Louis 75 yesterday. Pirates won for the first time in 23 tries this season when trailing after 6 innings. The Cardinals loaded the bases in the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning, but failed to score each time. The Cardinals left 12 men on base. Roansy Contreras lasted just 4 innings in his return to the rotation. Following a brief stint in the bullpen, he allowed 5 runs and 7 hits, struck out 6. Jack Flaherty worked 5 1/3 innings, 1 run, 6 hits, walk, and 6 strikeouts. But the Cardinals' bullpen stunk, okay, as Pittsburgh started a season-high 9-game homestand with a bang. Ke'Bryan Hayes, Ke'Bryan Hayes, what I was reading today is that he spent a lot of the time on the Pirates road trip on the West Coast watching video and taking a ton of swings in the batting cage in hopes of finding something that would help him break out of this funk that he's in. He's in such a bad funk that they dropped him in the batting order all the way down to 7th. He said that he made a slight footwork adjustment and he came to the plate ready to swing. He said he made an effort to approach the plate just ready to swing right away. And he finished yesterday with 3 hits, and he batted 7th for the second time this season. So it didn't take long for Ke'Bryan Hayes, after he got demoted to 7th in the batting order, to start poring over some videotape and figuring out what the heck he could do to get better. Yesterday, Josh Palacio hit his first Major League homer. Carlos Santana had 3 hits, including a 2-run double. McCutchen singled twice. His career total hits now, 1998, so he's very close to 2,000. Johan Ramirez earned the win. David Bednar got his 11th save. Arenado had 3 hits, including his 10th home run of the season. Paul Goldschmidt, 3 hits. Brendan Donovan, a 2-run homer. Lars Newbar finally went to the 10-day injured list, retroactive to May 29th with a lower back contusion. Tyler O'Neill, here's an update on this disappointing player. He's paused all physical activity for 10 days, the 3rd time his rehab has stalled, and Dylan Carlson is expected to begin a rehab assignment AAA next week. Also, I think they called up Jordan Walker again, although let me check out.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Let's see what Jordan Walker did. Batting 8th in the lineup, he went 1 for 5. And that's it. So Jordan Walker back in the majors. Also, we got McCutchen stealing his 7th base yesterday and Marcano stealing his 4th base. Arenado got picked off and caught stealing. Not a great day on the base paths for Arenado, but a great day for his 10th home run of the season. Tonight you get to see Jordan Montgomery against Luis Ortiz. St. Louis has lost each of Jordan Montgomery's last 9 starts. Boston and Tampa Bay rained out. So Chris Bassett took the mound after a 91-minute rain delay and shut down his former team, the Mets, on 3 hits to lead the Blue Jays over the Mets 3-0 yesterday. It was supposed to be a 7:10 p.m. start. Of course, it was pushed back because Bassett had to be back in Toronto because his wife was giving birth to their 2nd child yesterday, and he had a jet waiting for him. As soon as he was done pitching, he hopped on that and went up to Toronto. But this game was delayed for a couple hours. It was pushed back all the way. Finally, the first pitch was thrown at 8:41 p.m. It didn't end till after 11 o'clock at night. But Bassett pitched very good, tied his season high with 8 strikeouts, went 7 2/3 innings, and walked none. He threw 101 pitches. He retired 14 straight batters in a row. 14 straight, that means in a row, right? The Blue Jays major...
Yes. And it's also
All right, let me have a sip of coffee, Leonard.
It's in a row, straight, and in order.
Okay. Jordan Romano got his 14th save and his 15th chance. George Springer homered on Verlander's second pitch. I told you it was his 54th leadoff homer. New York has been outscored 46-13 in the first inning this season. Verlander, 5 hits and 8 strikeouts, 6 innings. And so Omar Narvaez went 0 for 5 at AAA Syracuse in his 5th rehab game. Epler says Narvaez is on pace to return from the 60-day injured list next week. So we'll see what happens to Francisco Alvarez.
Nothing's going to happen.
Are they going to share time behind the plate?
A little bit.
Well, if you think Alvarez is going to keep hitting this way, then I would like to sell you a bridge. We'll see, though. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before, lots of times.
Yeah.
But I'm right about some things. Jose Berrios tonight against Tyler McGill. Berrios has an ERA of 3.86. He's 5-4. He's such, you know what? I had such high hopes for Berrios. I have to say, I still am not completely satisfied that he's not going to have a breakout season one of these years. I still think he might, although he's reaching the age where you got to kind of put it behind you and say it's not going to happen. I hope for the best for Berrios. He's a great pitcher. I wish he could put it together, but he hasn't been able to do that so far. The Rangers beat the Mariners 2-0 in a game that only took 2 hours and 5 minutes. The Rangers have won 18 of their last 25 games. The Mariners were shut out for the 4th time this season, and it was the Rangers' 6th shutout. John Gray, another gem, 2 hits over 7 innings to win his 5th consecutive start. He struck out 5, he walked 1, he hit a batter, he threw 57 of 82 pitches for strikes. He didn't come out for the 8th to avoid, or he came out for the 8th inning to avoid a blister from developing on his hand, but he said everything is good. It's all good. Luis Castillo limited the Rangers to 1 run over 7 innings with 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. Castillo came into the game. He had thrown 12 scoreless innings over his last 2 starts and extended that streak to 17 before Texas got to him in the 6th inning. Marcus Semien scored the game's first run after extending his major league best hitting streak to 21 games. The 21-game hitting streak is the longest of his career. Corey Seager had an RBI double. Grant Anderson, who made his big league debut Tuesday for Texas with 7 strikeouts over 2 2/3 innings. He worked a scoreless 8th with 1 strikeout, and Will Smith worked a perfect 9th for his 10th save and 11th chances. Adolis Garcia had his MLB leading 9th outfield assist and his 4th in the last 9 games. This guy is great defensively. Marco Gonzalez remained in Seattle for tests on his left forearm and will not make his scheduled start today. He felt discomfort during his last start Sunday and in a bullpen session this week. Mitch Garver was activated from the 10-day injured list after missing 47 games with a left knee sprain, but he wasn't in the lineup. Imagine that.
Say hello to Post 1958.
Hello, Post 1958.
That's right. That's good.
Yeah, I think Ricky Henderson is still the all-time leader in leadoff home runs. I think that George Springer is second and tied for second now. Okay. All right. Brian Wu will make his big league debut for the Mariners, today. This Brian Wu, he's 23 years old. He's a 6th-round draft pick in 2021 at Double-A Arkansas. This year, he was 3-2 with a 2.33 ERA and 32 strikeouts in 5 starts. He could be very good, so keep an eye on Brian Wu today. He's going up against Andrew Heaney, and Heaney is 2-0 with a .95 ERA in his last 3 starts. So Heaney's having a good run right now. The Astros beat the Angels 6-2. Framber Valdez scattered 5 hits across 7 scoreless innings to extend his winning streak to 4 games. He struck out 7, and he's allowed just 1 run combined in his last 3 starts to lower his ERA to 2.16. Yordan Alvarez hit a 2-run homer off Ohtani for a Major League best 50 RBIs and his team-leading 15th home run of the season. Rookie Corey Julks, 2-run homer off Ohtani in the 6th. They pushed the lead up 5-0. Ohtani yielded a season-high 9 hits and tied a season-high with 5 runs in 6 innings for his 2nd loss of the season. We expect so much out of Ohtani that it's like a big deal because he got his 2nd loss yesterday. 9 hits, 5 earned runs, and 6 strikeouts. It took him 107 pitches to get through 6 innings, which is not good because you got Framber Valdez who made it 7 innings and only threw 92 pitches. So also, maybe this is the problem. Ohtani was batting leadoff yesterday for the first time this season, and he had a tough night at the plate as well. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts and a walk. Taylor Ward had 3 hits and drove in a run. Chas McCormick had 3 hits, and Kyle Tucker had 2 hits and an RBI. Tonight you get to see Christian Javier against Patrick Sandoval. Mauricio playing left field in AAA. I also mentioned that he played second base so far too. He's a natural shortstop, but he's going to make it to the majors with several different positions under his belt, including middle infield, both middle infield spots, and left field. So I think the Mets are really trying to bring him up. Yeah, I'd say Ricky's record is safe for now. But Springer's not that old, so he's still got a ways to go. He could hit 30 more home runs out of the leadoff spot. I mean, it doesn't seem impossible. I don't know if his record is safe. I'm not sure if they can't find room for him in the infield. I think they just want him to be flexible. I'm not really sure. We'll have to see. Minnesota Twins beat the Cleveland Guardians 1-0. The teams went a combined 1-for-11 with runners in scoring position before Minnesota finally broke through. The Twins have won the first 2 games of the series and 4 of 5 overall. They played without Carlos Correa, Byron Buxton, and Joey Gallo, and Polanco was in his second game back after a stay on the injured list with a hamstring strain. Buxton was out of the lineup. He was hit in the ribs by a pitch on Thursday, but x-rays showed no breaks. Buxton was still sore a day later, so it's probably best that they kept him out. And Carlos Correa, who King Turd just dropped smartly, was out of the lineup as he deals with plantar fasciitis, the second time this season he's dealt with the issue. Brock Stewart got 3 outs for the win. Duran entered with 1 out in the 8th and worked the 9th for his 8th save in 9 chances. Duran, dude, he's got pitches clocking in at 104.5 and 104.6 miles per hour. During his second inning of work, the second game this season, he's reached 104 miles per hour. Aaron Savali pitched 5 innings in his return from the injured list. You know, he missed 48 games because he had a strained left oblique. He gave up 4 hits and walked 2. Bailey Obertoss 6 innings of 4-hit ball. The Guardians got their first hit of the game with 2 outs in the 4th. So to make room for Savali, Cal Quantrill was placed on the 15-day injured list with right shoulder inflammation. Yeah, he didn't...
Talk about the trade.
What trade?
Quantrill.
Okay, yeah, so do we have Flamia in the chat room today too? I think we do.
Yeah.
All right, Boston Paul was... I don't want to talk about the trade. It's canceled. Okay. We canceled the trade.
Okay.
Brian Rocchio was recalled from AAA yesterday, and Josh Bell was placed on the paternity list. Gallo was a late scratch because he's got a hamstring injury, but Baldelli said Gallo will likely need a trip to the injured list. That's no bueno. Kepler was back in the lineup after he was pulled Thursday with a migraine. Tonight you get to see Sonny Gray, the American League leading best ERA 1.94. He's 4-0 on the season. And against Logan Allen, I like this kid. He's 2-2 with a 2.72 ERA. He hasn't allowed more than 3 runs in any of his 7 career starts and is coming off 7 scoreless innings with 10 strikeouts. Colorado Rockies beat the Kansas City Royals 7-2 to stop a 4-game losing streak. Kansas City has lost 9 of 12, dropping to 17-40 on the season. Ryan McMahon homered and hit a go-ahead single in a 6th-run 8th inning. McMahon has reached safely in 11 consecutive games, batting .425 with 5 homers and 15 RBIs in that span. Elias Diaz and Nolan Jones hit 2-run doubles. Brent Suter allowed 1 hit over 2 scoreless innings. Justin Lawrence got his 2nd career save and 1st of the season. Jordan Lyles went 5 innings, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts, and 1 earned run. Lyles retired 13 of 15 batters after he allowed McMahon first inning home run. He allowed 2 hits over 5 innings, struck out 8. He has allowed runs in the first inning in 10 of 12 of his starts, giving up 15 runs in the first inning. So Jordan Lyles, not so great in the first inning, but really came through and had a solid outing yesterday with 5 innings pitched. Chase Anderson gave up 4 hits in 6 innings, only 80 pitches to get through 6 innings, so he struck out 2. Edward R. Olivares hit a home run. Andrew Waters hit a home run. Jackson Kowar was recalled from AAA Omaha. He's a right-handed pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. And tonight you get to see Austin Gomer against Daniel Lynch.
Name the pitcher who's given up the most home runs in Major League Baseball.
Which pitcher has given up the most home runs in baseball?
Hello.
All right, Daniel, this is for you.
Hello.
The birthday boy, the 50, the big 50.
Hello.
Did you have a bunch of black balloons yesterday? That's horrible. That's what they do for 50.
I'm doing pretty good. You know you're an asshole, right? I want to make sure that you know.
All right, Lenny's telling the spammers that they're assholes on the phone. I've never seen anybody get a kick out of talking to spammers more than Lenny, okay? And he's got every line in the book for these people. And that's why they call us 179 times a day, okay? The White Sox beat the Detroit Tigers 3-0. They came away with the win after losing 4 of their last 5 games. Detroit won 3 of 4 at home against Chicago last weekend. They went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position and stranded 9 yesterday. Clevenger pitched 3 hit ball over 5 innings in his first start since May 17th. He threw 73 pitches. He struck out 6 and walked 1. Kendall Graveman, 5th save. Reese Olson, we talked about him in his major league debut. He didn't even allow 1 hit until the 6th inning when he gave up 2 runs, but he struck out 6 and he only walked 1.
Jeremy Gibbs is right. It's Jordan Lyles.
It is Jordan Lyles. Good. I should have known that just by the timing of the question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Reese Olson was actually the first Detroit Tiger to hold an opponent without a hit through 5 innings in his debut since 1972. Eloy RBI single extended his hitting streak to 13 games. Tim Anderson hit a double, and he is 11 of 29 in his past 7 games. Tarek Skubal is scheduled to begin a rehab assignment with Class A West Michigan tomorrow. The Tigers now list Riley Green's injury as a stress reaction after previously describing it as a stress fracture. Does it really matter? It's a stress of some sort. Besides getting Clevenger back from the 15-day injured list, the White Sox also reinstated Elvis Andrus from the 10-day DIL. They designated Hanser Alberto for assignment and optioned Jesse Schultens to AAA Charlotte. Tonight you get to see Michael Lorenzen against Dylan Cease, who's having a shit storm of a season, okay? Dylan Cease is having a worse season than Michael Lorenzen, who has this guy, every time I see his name, I think automatically. I remember when he was a reliever for the Reds, and I've had him on my fantasy. I've had him on this dynasty league that I have for years because this guy has a spin rate that can be touched by nobody. Although the spin rate is extremely high and has been for the last couple years, I don't know if Lorenzen still has one of the highest in baseball, but he certainly has a lot of spin to his pitches, and he is a good pitcher. I was very excited to see them stretching him out as a starter, and right now, so far, he's 2-2 with a 3.50 ERA. So, Lorenzen is another good pitcher for Detroit, although quite underrated, and very, very streaky, so don't get your hopes up that he's going to steadily be good, because he'll go out there and get shelled just as easily as he goes out there and has a good game. The Diamondbacks won their season-high 6th game in a row. They beat the Braves 3-2. Arizona is now 12 games over 500 for the first time since 2018, and its first 6-game winning streak since 2020. The Braves have lost 5 of their past 7 games. There was more than 27,000 fans there in Arizona at the ballpark. Merrill Kelly threw 7 strong innings, gave up 2 runs and 5 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 8. He threw 100 pitches. Merrill Kelly now has a 2.80 ERA on the season. Charlie Morton, 3 runs on 6 hits over 7 innings, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. Very good. Both of these pitchers pitched 7 innings. That's great. Lourdes Gurriel. Let me just brag about Lourdes Gurriel for a second. 2-out, 2-run double. He seems to come through in the most clutch times of the game, so let's give it to Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Miguel Castro, 6 save and 7 chances. Eddie Rosario homered twice. Probably sitting on a lot of benches out there. Definitely sitting on a couple of my benches. It was his first multi-homer game of the season. And honestly, let me just check this out real quick. Rosario, he had 2 home runs yesterday. Now he's got 7 on the season. So not only is it his first multi-homer game of the season, I doubt he did it last year or the year before. He's been horrible this year, but that's his 7th homer, so we'll see if he turns it on. I might get him off my bench this week. Christian Walker, run-scoring double. Now, Atlanta's Ronald Acuna Jr., he came into the game with 23 stolen bases. It's second in the majors, right behind the guy that I can't pronounce his name, Ruiz. So he tries to steal in the first inning yesterday, and it looked like he was about to have his 24th stolen base because it looked like he beat the throw from the catcher, Gabriel Moreno, Arizona's Gabriel Moreno. Now, Acuna was initially ruled safe, and then Arizona challenged the call, and it was overturned. Now, the great thing about this tidbit is that Gabriel Moreno has caught 56% of the runners who have tried to steal on him this year. It's the best mark in the majors. So, Gabriel Moreno, don't try to steal on him because he will throw you out. Tonight, you get to see Ryan Nelson against Spencer Strider. The Cubbies beat the Padres 2-1. Sing me a song of misery for the Padres, please. It's the opener of a 4-game series between these two teams. I'm happy for the Cubbies, but I am just devastated for the Padres. Although Macho did get activated yesterday. We'll see how that works out. You know, this is the first time Macho spent any time on the injured list in the past, 8 years. So, Jameson Taillon, and you could tell that Macho has not been healthy all season because there's something wrong. You don't just go from being a great hitter for 8-10 years and then turn into what Macho was this year. He was like one of the best set it and forget it players in baseball, and I hope to see that again soon. So I know that I don't, when Macho first went on the IL, they were saying that he could come back next week, right? That was like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, okay, it must not be that big of a deal. They're just putting him on there. Well, he didn't come back when he was first able to come back. And then I thought, what are they doing? This must be more serious than I thought. I hope that he spent enough time on the injured list to get this thing healed up completely, because the worst thing that could happen, and by the way, you don't need to be a doctor to know this, the worst thing that can happen is to activate a player when they're not fully recovered. And that's that. So, my Macho, I'd rather him spend a couple weeks on the IL than, go back on and off all through the season just because they rush him back. So, we'll have to see what happens. But Jameson Taillon, he came into the game winless over his previous 8 starts. He had an 8.04 ERA. He got the win. He pitched effectively into the 6th inning. He gave up 3 hits and 1 run in 5 2/3, which was a season-high innings for Taillon. Looks like he might be coming back. I love Taillon. I especially love his work ethic and his grit, his resilience, and his, he's very good at going up against adversity, so we'll see. Michael Wacha, 5 walks in 4 2/3 innings. What a great reward for being named the pitcher of the month, okay? 5 walks in 4 2/3 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, and struck out 8. Dansby Swanson homered, and, I'll say Dansby Swanson had 3 hits, including a home run. Rougned Odor led off with a double and scored, and then he left the game with a left groin strain. Mark Leiter Jr. finished up with a scoreless 9th. It was his 3rd save of the season. Justin Steele is day-to-day. He underwent an MRI exam on Thursday, and the results indicated a mild strain. The Padres, like I said, reinstated Manny Machado from the 10-day injured list prior to last night's game. 17 days he spent because of a fractured finger in his metacarpal, fractured bone in his left hand when he was hit by a pitch. The Padres placed Nelson Cruz on the 10-day injured list with a right hamstring strain. Luis Campusano was moved from the 10-day to the 60-day IL, giving Gary Sanchez just that much more opportunity to get at bats, because Campusano would have taken at bats from him had he come back. Now he's transferred from the 10 to the 60, so don't expect him back anytime soon. And tonight you get to see Drew Smyly against Yu Darvish. The Dodgers beat the Yankees 8-4 yesterday. There was a season-high 52,534 fans at the ballpark. The Yankees have lost 2 straight after a 4-game winning streak. During his 16-year career, Clayton Kershaw had never beaten the New York Yankees until last night. He allowed early homers to Giancarlo Stanton and Josh Donaldson, who both returned from lengthy injury absences. Kershaw, 9 strikeouts over 7 innings, 4 hits allowed. He finished by retiring the final 7 New York batters. He has now beat... Here's the discrepancy here between the tidbits and the game recaps. These game recaps come from ESPN, so I'll tend to go with the tidbit rather than the ESPN, but you never know. It says that he's beaten every team in the majors except Baltimore, and he's never faced Baltimore in the regular season, but they're headed to Camden Yards next month, so hopefully Kershaw will be timed to start against the Orioles, and we all have to root for Kershaw, right? What a great guy, great career, good family man. We love Kershaw. I love Kershaw. That's it. Luis Severino, 8-hit first inning. He needed 34 pitches to get out of the first inning. He allowed 8 batted balls faster than 94 miles per hour. He recovered and got through 4 innings, but his fastball averaged just 95 miles an hour, which was down significantly from his season average. Severino, 4 innings, 83 pitches. Kershaw, 7 innings, 96 pitches. Mookie Betts hit 2 more homers, finished 4 for 4 with a walk, 3 RBIs, second straight 2-homer game, and he stole a base yesterday. Donaldson hit 2 homers in his first game since April 5th. I like Donaldson too, although I know he causes a lot of chaos between people in baseball. Max Muncy, 2-run homer. J.D. Martinez homered and singled to extend his hitting streak to 16 games. I remember in the drafts this season saying to myself, should I draft J.D. Martinez? I mean, I remember asking Malpal, who should I take, J.D. Martinez or someone else? And I remember, really with J.D. Martinez, you never knew if his career was over. But the fact that he was going to the Dodgers, there isn't probably a better place for him to land. The Dodgers have such a great lineup, and he's surrounded by hitters on that team. So there's a good chance he's not going to get pitched around. And I'll tell you what, he's got a 16-game hitting streak right now, and he's doing way more than anybody drafted him to do this season. We all kind of question whether or not J.D. Martinez was done. He's not done. Freddie Freeman, he was trying to extend his hitting streak yesterday to 21 games. He had a 20-game hitting streak entering, but he hit a 99-mile-per-hour line out to shortstop and finished the night 0 for 5. So that snapped. Jason Hayward had 2 hits. He was playing left field for the first time in his major league career, 1,623 games. He's used to playing right field. He said he hadn't played an inning in left field since spring training in 2009. Now, injury updates for the Yankees. Center fielder Greg Allen left in the 8th with a hip flexor pain. Boone said he could be headed to the injured list. And Carlos Rodon and his wife Ashley had a 30-pitch bullpen session. He should be ready to face live hitters soon. Noah Syndergaard will stay in the Dodgers rotation for his next start Wednesday. Now, that is different than what manager Dave Roberts said. Even though right here in the recap, it says Dave Roberts says that he will stay in the Dodgers rotation for his next start Wednesday. That is in total conflict with what the tidbit said about Dave Roberts and how he said he didn't know if Syndergaard would pitch this next week.
That was a quote.
So the tidbit, Lenny says the tidbit that I read to you earlier was a quote from Dave Roberts. This recap says that he will be in the rotation to start Wednesday. You never know. Like I said, the most important factor in these two things is that the Dodgers have 2 of their next 5 days off. Why would they put Syndergaard in there if he's not feeling 100%? Because they do have Michael Grove back. He's going to pitch tonight. He wasn't very good to start the season. He will make his first appearance since April due to a groin strain, but Michael Grove is back. So, The Noah Syndergaard and the Dodgers rotation, it is depleted, but they did get a pitcher back. They have 2 of the next 5 days off. I don't know for sure that Syndergaard will be pitching this week. And even if he does, what are the chances that he pitches great? I'll tell you the chances. If you put him on the bench, he'll pitch wonderful. If you put him in, he'll pitch like shit. Because it's Murphy's Law, and that's how it rolls. All right, tonight you get to see Garrett Cole against Michael Grove. One more game? All right, I'm going a little over, but I don't mean to. The Orioles beat the Giants 3-2 on Friday. Dean Kremer struck out 6 over 6 innings. He allowed 2 runs on 5 hits and walked 2. One of my favorite pitchers in baseball, Logan Webb, went 3-0 in May. He lost for the first time in 6 starts. He gave up 3 runs on 4 hits, struck out 6, and walked 1 in 7 strong innings. Gunnar Henderson hit a go-ahead solo homer. Lamont Wade Jr. hit a home run. Ryan O'Hearn and Jorge Mateo each had RBI singles, and Felix Bautista got his 15th save. Yastrzemski hit a game-tying double. Cedric Mullins isn't ready to begin rehab on his strained right groin. Michael Givens was placed on the 15-day injured list with inflammation in his pitching shoulder. The hope is he will return in the minimum time. Thairo Estrada, with a sprained left wrist, hit off a tee, and that's going to tell us a lot, according to Gabe Kapler. The roster moves, Baltimore recalled Bruce Zimmerman, lefty pitcher from AAA. And tonight you get to see Kyle Bradish against Alex Cobb. Bradish making his first career start versus San Francisco. It's going to be a tough one going against Alex Cobb. That's it. I'm right on time. Thanks, everybody, for joining me on a Saturday morning. I hope you all have a great weekend. Lenny and I will be back in the morning for Lady and the Legend. And, of course, you can check in anytime to the chat room. We'll be around. And that's it.